You are now listening to the podcast for geeks and the stuff they love, where each week we'll talk about everything from anime to movies, games, and prop collecting with the people who create and love it. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Vince.
I'm James.
And this is your Geek Fix.
Do you hear an echo now?
Not so much.
Okay, cool.
I usually can clear it up anyways. I run all of our audio. Well, I'm going to tell you that. This is part of the reason of this thing. I'm going to tell you all the cool stuff
behind the scenes.
So I decided for this episode because I was gonna share this stuff with Vinz and James anyways. Some of the behind the scenes to this podcast. There's a lot of work. You can very easily make a podcast. You can even post it for free, but they'll only hold so many episodes. I actually pay. We lose a lot of money on this podcast because I actually paid to store all of our previous episodes, which I've been happy about because when we go to transfer things later on, it'll make things a little bit easier. But at the same time, you can record, you can post everything pretty much free of cost. But that's not how we do it. I thought I'd share some of the things about how we do it, but also there's some exciting things about some of the programs that we use and some of the things that we do for this podcast that will make it very interesting and exciting, and that will also be happening with YouTube and my YouTube videos pretty soon. So I thought I'd share some of this in case you weren't aware of some of the things that are out there and what's happening. Another way, I know we've talked about AI, but another way in which AI is kind of improving or changing things. So here's a little bit of what typically happens. Typically, the three of us will get together. There's only two of us on right now because we're having some technical difficulties with James. He's actually driving right now. He was trying to participate, but his audio and video keeps going and coming.
Yeah, he's been driving for a week now.
Yeah. That's right. By the end of the month, he'll still be on his way on a 2-hour trip. But at any rate, we'll try and connect with him maybe later on. But at the same time, normally the three of us kind of schedule a time once a month to get together, and that's what we'll do. And it's funny because I'll go through by the time I'm contacting you guys to say, let's get together and let's do this or that. It feels like we just barely were together, but it'll be 4 weeks in between, actually, or 5 weeks in this case. Yep. And, but at the same time, this is my opportunity to be able to hang out and to be able to talk about different things. But then, what's cool is, we have gone through a little bit of a transition. So when we first did this, from the day that we did our very first episode, which was on the 4th of May, which is May the 4th be with you, was our first episode, and it was just Vinz and I at that time, and we literally just did it using the flat recorded and then posted it. So no major fixes. But typically the process that I go through is we use even for recording this, one of the things that I'm so happy I pay for actually is something that is called Riverside FM is the program that I use. It's an online service, and the way that it's better than a lot of the ones that people use, like Skype, or what's the other one that I used to use?
Zoom.
I tried them all, and all of them gave me problems. It seems like every time that I had somebody on the show too, a special guest, like every single time, if you listen to a couple of podcasts ago, or when I talked about Lori Nix and Kathleen Gerber or Dan Lanigan or any of those, every single time I tried to get to go together with somebody, something would go wrong.
We are chatting with Chris on Skype video call.
The person whom you're reached is currently unavailable. Please leave a message after the beep.
In just trying to get the thing set up, if you've ever done anything for work where you have to get on Skype or something, it seems like the first 20 minutes is just getting the thing to work.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that works perfect. But So the thing about this that I like about Riverside is that literally it's set up as a studio that people can just go to. It's always there. And so literally we just log in. We're in the studio, and then and we can press record. But the way that it works is that it records the video and the audio and then stores it temporarily on their computer and then uploads it from there to the web, where I can then access their track. And the benefit to that is because it's recording it each one individually and it's putting it out there first, is that it can do it as high definition as you want. So this can actually record 8K is one of the options that's in here, which I've never used because I mean, it is storing it temporarily also on your computer. Can you imagine like 2 hours of 8K video on your computer? Anyway, but we typically do it 4K or 1080. I do mine at 1080. Are you guys doing yours at 4K?
No, I think this camera only goes up to 180.
1080. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I mean, but at the same time, this allows us to have really high-end recorded video and audio. Also, if somebody's cutting in and out, which is hard in vivo, sometimes you might hear us on the live stream, in the podcast, we'll say, oh, you've cut out or you're frozen on the screen. That's just through the stream itself. But then when we put it on, it works fine because I got the full quality video. So there has been times where we'll make comments about somebody freezing. In the video, I've actually had to go back and freeze, like Vinz in one of them, he froze. I had to actually make the video freeze so it made sense. Otherwise, it looked like everything was fine. And why are we complaining?
I kept dancing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so this stores it. And then what I will do is I'll download each of those tracks and I layer them in. I put them inside of Premiere, where I then, make the video version, which we have go live on every Wednesday night at 5:00, I think it is. And so I do edit it and put it together in a way for the video. Sometimes I have to take some things out so that, we're safe for YouTube purposes. And then putting in other video stuff. So, there's all that on the back end. But then I'll take that MP4 file, and beforehand, I'll turn the MP4s into MP3s, and then I take those MP3s and I upload them to another service, which actually Vince had brought it up to me a while ago, and I was like, I don't know. I had tried using it before and it wasn't so good. Now it's a little bit better. It does have some issues though, processing at times, because this is a program that basically uses AI to look at volumes of things, and then it looks at mid-ranges and averages things out. So sometimes what that can mean is that you get warbly sounding audio, or it'll take out some of the timbre of my voice and things, so I don't sound as podcasty. But at the same time, it's enhanced speech, which you can use from Adobe if you have an Adobe account, which I know you do now. Right, Vince, you're for doing some editing and stuff, and it's pretty good. It gives you really good quality audio. Just to give you an example, I'll play for everyone a sample of the last time that we recorded.
That's the most annoying meme I ever learned about, is that every movie is set in space. So what are you talking about?
What Jeremy is talking about is that I have recently been investing most of my time and money into a saltwater reef aquarium.
It seems like every time we do this, somebody's audio is a little funny. So, it sounds like he's really far away. It sounds like it's not very good quality. But then when I run it through there, it sounds perfect.
That's the most annoying meme I ever learned about, is that, every movie is set in space. So what are you talking about?
What Jeremy is talking about is that I have recently been investing most of my time and money into a saltwater reef aquarium.
It sounds clean and it sounds loud and stuff like that. Sounds just right. And so, so I run all of our voices through that first, and it makes it sound like we're all together then too. Like we're in the same room. So there's no difference in the way that we record it. So what you hear when you listen to the podcast is not the way it sounded to each other or like on that occasion. Like Vince right now, even he turned on the cancellation for echo and stuff, but at the same time, right now you're going to have an echoey room, which if it's
an
still
empty room, yeah.
Yeah. But even at this, like it's going to sound, it'll take all the echo out. It takes all the problems out. So if you have not a very good mic, or if you have a situation where I did some on the road videos, which I'll eventually release, like the Bigfoot one and stuff like that. And it's hard to get good audio quality. I run it through that. Sounds perfectly fine. It does sound a little different than you would typically expect for live video, but at the same time, so that's the thing I run it through. Then I bring it back in to Premiere and replace the audio levels or files with those. So now it has a cleaned up audio. And then when I export it, it's actually the Premiere video that I then export also to Spreaker, which is who I currently use, though we're going to be switching to another service pretty soon here that we won't have to pay for. And then I think we're just going to have to give up the option of having all of our episodes available. I think they only let you keep 3 or 4. I don't know. I think it's like a month's worth. So many minutes is actually the way it works that they'll keep on their servers without you paying a higher premium for it. But at the same time, that's how all the audio gets out there. And then you're able to tell it who you want to publish it to. Some places like my Samsung phone, for example, will tell me when one of our episodes comes out, because I also have it set up for Samsung podcasts. I've set it up for Apple podcasts, so even if I switch the feed, or even if I switch the service, the RSS feed stays the same. And so that means that then it still goes to those different services. The downside to podcasting that I learned is that you can't really track how many listeners you have through the service itself, which made more sense to me, that like when people listen, that it's like a download, and it doesn't work that way unless it is an actual physical download. So then you have to go to each of the services to see what they've kind of tracked as far as how many listeners they've had. Then you're going to kind of add that all together. It's a really big mess.
Oh, wow.
And it also makes any type of monetization kind of tricky, but at any rate, so yeah, that's kind of that piece. But where it gets cool is this part that I thought I'd share. The thing I was excited to tell Vinz and James about is so not just on Riverside, but that's the first part I'm going to talk about, but also on YouTube. But Riverside to start with, as of yesterday, I can now, when we get done with this podcast, it will show me the podcast in written form as well as the video and audio and the layout. And what I can do is I can go in and I could delete a sentence from that podcast, and it will edit it in such a way it doesn't just remove that portion of the video. It will also, through AI, make it look as if it just was smooth. I can change a word that Vinz says, and farts, it will, through AI.
Farts.
There you go.
Farts.
But I can change that, for example, and it will then change the audio, the words that he said using AI will change the words that he said and make his mouth look like he said the words alternatively that I wanted to say. So quite often on this episode, on these episodes, to be honest with you, I've accidentally said the wrong thing, and I have gone back and corrected myself and just edited it in. This would let me actually, I could change it and be like, oh yeah, that was 250 milliamps. That I meant to say. I could type it in 250 milliamps, and my mouth will then say, with that, 250 milliamps. Sound pretty cool? It gets cooler. I can then click translate. Yeah. I can then click translate to Dutch or whatever. It will change the text. It will change our mouths, and we will speak Dutch. And it says, it's not just Google Translate level. We're talking something that's actually, they have proven that it's really well translated.
Skaten.
Either way, I got to edit it later.
Sorry about that.
For YouTube, at least. Yeah. So that sounds pretty cool, right? I mean, that's pretty cool on here.
Yeah.
But the truth is, I got the memo. Now, if you do have a YouTube channel, you get they will tell you, they'll send you these videos and say, hey, here's the newest information. I always watch those. I would recommend always watching the new stuff. There's some things I've been able to do on my YouTube channel that you have to go in and click a setting for to be able to be a part of the trial of some things. And this was one of those. Is about a month and a half ago, YouTube said that we would have the same ability. So again, doesn't work the same way though, where I just go in and I type something, but where I would be able to have, for example, using your subtitles only if you import subtitles. So not the automatic subtitles. It has to be like you actually have the written ones you import.
Yeah, the transcript,
which isn't hard. There's plenty of services that will make a transcript of your video for you, so you don't have to go through and type something. I've done it before. The video I have coming out next week, before that gets released on Thursday, I'm going to try and go in and import subtitles. But what that's going to allow me to do now is it will send it to more countries, and it will put it into their language, me speaking that language. And so that's where we are. This is the place that we are now, is where I can create a video that somebody in another country could watch, and they're not reading subtitles. They're not listening even to somebody dubbing over it. You ever seen the videos that where they're dubbed over by some Russian voice?
In Europe, the dubbing is pretty prevalent. So sometimes we have Dutch shows that are overdubbed by Germans, or the other way around. It's funny, yeah. So,
and if this is on YouTube and stuff, obviously, bigger production companies that make actual shows and things, like Netflix and things, you would think, well, they should just be able to do this too. And I found out the reason why they haven't done this yet, but it's getting there, is it has to do actually with your region problems. Okay. So the problem is, which was the issue before, why YouTube can have all your videos can always go to all countries, was because of some regional protections. One of the reasons why you don't want to get a copyright claim, for example, or sometimes when I edit video into these podcasts, is they do get restricted from some countries. And the reason is because that video is not allowed in those countries. No. So it senses those kinds of things. But same thing with when you have artists that are being paid for their voice. The issue is that, there's a license that goes with that. There is, they're supposed to get paid, for this later on. And so, reruns and whatever else that happen, they have to be paid for that region based on that region's standard for which you're supposed to get paid. And so just creating a virtual reality version of my voice that's speaking another language doesn't get them out of having to pay the actor for that stuff. And so that's their current issue. So this is why you're not seeing, or you haven't already seen a lot of shows that are like all your anime. Why isn't the anime that's just, why even hire actors anymore? Now I can just, use the Japanese actors' voices and it'll put it into English in their voice. But that's not allowed just yet. There's too many other factors, and maybe it shouldn't be. I don't know. We're getting back into the VR discussion here a little bit about, the ethics of all that. But at the same time, as far as your own things that you produce, this is going to allow you to be able to spread things out a lot further. So if you've always thought, well, boy, it'd be really nice if I, could know this other language, if I could do this or that, or if I could write some of my information in my description, if it could be in a couple of other languages, because I really want to bring in this or that group, that's not an issue anymore. Literally, as of now, you can now make your YouTube, I don't know about YouTube Shorts, but you can make your YouTube videos and have them distributed everywhere in that language, and with the same script, and have it be pretty accurate, not have it sound too Google Translate-y. I'm waiting to see, though. I do speak a couple of languages. I'm waiting to see if I can watch a couple that have been translated to see just how accurate those really sound. I haven't had the opportunity to see that yet. So yeah, I'm kind of excited about it.
I wonder how I sound like in Dutch, because I am
Dutch.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
We'll have to have you speak, back and forth and then see if it'll straighten it out in between.
I can say, ik heb alle frikandellen opgegeten. And then it has been, I've eaten all the mincemeat sausages.
Which is a common thing to say.
Of course. It's a very Dutch thing to say.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was excited to share this with these guys, but I thought, I might as well share it with a little bit of everyone, because I don't know if everyone knows, too, all the kind of the behind the scenes. I think another thing to know about is microphone-wise, like I said, you don't really need a fancy microphone anymore with the way we clean it up. For us, it's kind of important.
I wish I knew earlier.
Because, at the same time, it's good to have a good one anyways, but, at the same time, for like us, hearing each other, it's good to have something good, and it's also I do look forward to not having to wear earphones when I'm doing recordings with people. That's of course so that it doesn't get doubled inside the audio, which I used to have a problem with too. I think that's also something I don't have to worry about anymore, but I haven't given in. I still feel self-conscious about it, so I'm still going to stick with the earphones for a little bit. But
for me, it's just privacy, so that not the whole house can listen.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then you always run the risk of the echo and things like that. I think personally, but like right now I'm leaning back from my microphone, which would make the levels different than when I get closer up like this. Right. But when I run it through that AI, it always comes out exactly the same. So I haven't heard a difference in my distance because it's averaging that out. But that also, like I said, it's also removing some things that I think I don't want to remove from my voice. So I wish there was a slider on it like there is in a lot of other Adobe products where I could actually adjust it. This is an all or nothing thing. You just you convert it online. And it does it pretty quickly. Within about 10 minutes, it'll convert up to an hour's worth of audio.
That's pretty good.
Pretty well. Yeah, which isn't too bad. But at the same time, camera-wise, this is something else for those that are watching. The way that I have mine set up, we can talk about each of our setups, but I have a computer that's down here. So if you ever see me looking down, I'm still looking like Vinz right now. In fact, sometimes this is better because I can actually see details and stuff. It's more, it's more personal to me. But to the Vinz, it looks like I'm distracted.
They have AI for that as well now, right?
Yeah.
That they've,
what's that?
They have AI for that as well, so that you can put your it fakes your eyes looking into the camera.
Point of focus. It looks funny though a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I was gonna say I did an AI thing with my daughter last night where it makes her laugh and sing, and one of the eyes kept going up.
That's scary.
Stuff. Yeah, I was like, well, that's a little Pennywise creepy stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I have my camera up here. I use a Canon 80D, which is the one I use for all my filming. So I'm actually filming through my standard camera. I'm going to be upgrading my camera system pretty soon, though. I think I'm going to go above the mirrorless stuff pretty soon.
Oh, wow.
But what I like about this is above it, I have a viewfinder thing. In fact, here, I'm going to
like a
I
monitor.
can see it also on the yeah. So I can actually see, there it is right there. I can see the camera up above it. I'm filming it right now, talking into it. But so I can see Vinz up there and myself. So this right now I'm looking at you, for example, and it looks at least like I'm closer to looking at the camera that way. So I gotta always watch it though. Don't look up above.
Yeah. So I have a camera on a stand, like the mic stand, and I have it just placed right in front of my screen. So my camera is just right in front of your face, basically.
Okay.
So I watch.
So the center point of screen is where you're looking.
Well, the camera is in the center of my screen right now. Yeah. So I have a boom stand that basically puts the camera in front of my screen. so I can watch over the camera into the screen, and then so it looks like I'm looking at you, because it's only 2 millimeters difference basically.
Oh yeah. But, well, it would be nice if they did. I'm sure they got something will come out pretty soon, kind of like Chris was talking about, where you have the tiny, the same size you have on the back of your phone and stuff, camera that's in the very center of the screen.
Oh yeah,
like in the notch or whatever. That wouldn't be too disruptive, but at the same time, that when you're looking at something, it doesn't look too bad. Some of them, some laptops don't look too off. Like it doesn't look like you're looking in the wrong spot. No. But I will say too, if you have a cheap camera setup, something I'd recommend it to these guys is that's free. This is a free thing. Download IV Cam. It works on both Apple and on Android phones. And it's you have to also download it onto your computer, and it will allow you to stream. Either you can Wi-Fi stream to your computer the image, which will be high quality. Then it's kind of the best way to do a cheap computer based camera. But you can also hardwire it, which is how I've done some of my past live streams when we've done things where I'm building something live. I'll have this camera filming me, but then I have a secondary camera that's through my phone. And IV Cam, completely free, works so well and looks so clean and smooth. And so it's really a great resource to use if you're wanting to do, things where one, you can use your phone's great cameras that it has on it and low light and everything else. Or if you're needing to do something where you can move stuff around, it's pretty great for that. So something else to keep in mind if you're planning on starting your own thing, and which honestly, if you're starting your own thing, Vince has a bunch of projects he's working on. Yeah. I'm anxiously trying to get him to give me some timelines, to give me some hard dates, because I'm anxious to see this stuff. But
it's a pet project, so it takes as long as it takes, basically. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so it's going to take a while, I'm afraid. But
hey, good content in the end is all that matters. And so, if you have something like you are creating or thinking about creating, or something that we can watch, I will admit to this. It sounds creepy. I'm going to say something that sounds really creepy about what I do. But when people join my channel or leave comments, often I will click on their avatar, go to their channel to see if they also post things and see what kinds of stuff they're interested in. It's my way of kind of keeping track of what the audience is looking at. But then also to see, I'm amazed. There's some of our members that have stuff that's way better than my stuff, and who I've even contacted as some of them for different things for collaboration. But I'm if I haven't caught something that you're doing, let me know, because I love to see the kinds of things that people do. I mean, I'm being totally authentic when I'm saying that we are interested in seeing what you do. We're interested in building this community. We want to see more stuff out there. This is the whole purpose behind this. I'm afraid that there's a lot of media in relation to geeky stuff and building that's kind of going away, and I'm afraid of that. And so excited to see people that are motivated and interested in collecting and building and stuff that they watch, creating media of different kinds. We want to see that. So please, if you leave it in the comments below, or email us at yourgeekfix@gmail.com and let us know. We're happy to also plug some of your stuff to make sure that other people also know what's out there. So, at any rate,
and it doesn't have to be video or audio.
Video, audio, whatever it might be,
pictures or whatever. Yeah.
If you've enjoyed this podcast and want more, stay tuned for that. But also check out our channel, join the community on YouTube that goes by the same name, Your Geek Fix. Be sure to check out Vinz on Twitter at massivedmg_ and on his YouTube channel, massivedmg. Check out James at Mr. Malto4 on Instagram and the Replica Prop Forum. We also want to hear from you, so be sure to send your questions, stories, and other projects to yourgeekfix@gmail.com. In the meantime, this has been your Geek Fix.